Hi, and welcome to This Is Homeschooling. I'm your host, Blair Lee, and today I'm going to talk about which science makes the most sense to start with first. Physics, biology, or maybe even chemistry. The idea for doing this video came from a question that I got at a recent conference that I spoke at, and I was speaking about science, and someone asked my recommendation for which to start with, physics or biology. My response was, well, chemistry, of course. Now, today I'm going to give you my logic for why science should start with chemistry before biology or physics. So chemistry is the science that explores how and why matter behaves the way it does in both living and non-living things. It investigates the structure of atoms, how substances interact, and the energy changes involved in these interactions. In short, chemistry helps us understand the fundamental principles that govern everything from the oxygen we breathe to why our cells need that oxygen for us to live, to how our bodies function. Because all matter follows the same basic rules, whether it's a rock, a drop of water, a planet, chemistry provides the foundational, conceptual, fundamental principles for both biology and physics, and for earth and environmental and astronomy as well. Far from being just one branch of science, chemistry acts as a bridge between the different disciplines. So why chemistry before biology? Chemistry is the language of biology. You might not realize it, but you are a person-shaped chemical test tube, honestly. Chemistry is everything, all the underlying principles. Biology rely on chemistry. Every major area of biology is built on chemical principles. Without chemistry, biological concepts remain surface level. With chemistry, they gain coherence and depth. So consider this: genetics. It's the chemistry of nucleotides, hydrogen bonds, and molecular replication. Photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is an electron. The way photosynthesis actually works is it's an electron transport chain. Well, you kind of need to understand what electrons are to understand how photosynthesis transfers energy through those electrons. Homeostasis. It's molecular transport, osmotic pressure, pH balance, and chemical signals working in harmony. Human physiology. Like I said, you are a person-shaped test tube, whether you like to think of yourself that way or not. It's oxygen, carbon dioxide exchange, ATP-fueled muscle contractions, neurotransmitter activities, and hormonal regulation. It's all chemical processes. Why, if I pinch my finger, do I feel it? Chemistry can tell you the answer to those things. Ecology, an area that you might not think is driven by chemistry. Ecology is about nutrient cycling, energy flow through food webs, and the chemical limits set by environmental factors like salinity, acidity, oxygen level, whether you live in water or live in air. Without chemistry, biology becomes a set of disconnected facts. With chemistry, students see the elegant unity of life's systems, how they emerge from and depend on molecular behavior, and they come to understand the driving forces of biology in both a nuanced and a deep way. And that's really should be the goal for science study. When we treat science as like this superficial collection of facts to be memorized, I have long argued that that's nonfiction literacy. That's not studying science. Until you can understand the practices and principles of science, you're not really learning science in a way that honors that discipline and in a way that leads to mastery. And in biology, chemistry is needed if you're going to have more of a surface understanding of biological principles. Speaking of disservices done to science, both chemistry and physics often have a disservice done to them that I want to address, and that is when they are treated like an applied math class. That's really a shame because there's a lot of foundational information, conceptual information in both of them that help explain and help kids understand how the natural and physical world works. And if you overwhelm learners cognitively, make the cognitive load so high with all of this math, kids often don't come to understand. They gain no mastery over the conceptual information that forms the foundation of science. So if you feel that there's too much math for your learner in the science that they're studying, no matter what discipline it is, either find a different course that is more conceptual or figure out a way to take some of that math out of the learning. Just remember this. Math in science should always be in service to the science concepts and principles. And look for math to impact the cognitive load in a way that's detrimental to learning. Now, as far as math goes, however, physics often requires a strong background in algebra or even calculus at the college level. Chemistry has a lower entry point for math. Another reason for chemistry first, even if you are going to include some math, is because you need less algebra and it's more basic to do things like balance equations, using ratios, and calculating quantities in stoichiometry. Some of that is just addition and subtraction. So conceptually, chemistry also provides more direct exposure. So students see, feel, and measure chemical changes like color shifts, heat release, gas production, making abstract concepts more tangible and bringing math in a way that doesn't feel like it's tacked on just to make the subject kind of more arcane and challenging, but again, so that it is used in service to the concepts being discussed. Math isn't the only reason to start with chemistry before physics. Just as with biology, chemistry forms the conceptual, foundational underpinnings for physics. Physics asks how matter behaves when forces act on it. But to understand why it behaves that way, you need to understand the structure of matter. That's chemistry. Take force and work, for example. Force is the push or pull of an object. Work is done when that force causes movement. Chemistry explains why different types of matter respond differently to force. Strong atomic bonds resist stretching or breaking. Gases compress or expand based on molecular motion and intermolecular forces. And chemistry also explains why solids and liquids behave differently than gases. Energy input causes particles to speed up, break bonds, or change phase. Those are all chemical processes. Topics like thermodynamics, gas laws, pressure, and energy transfer in physics are deeply rooted in chemical behavior and require an understanding of chemistry in order to understand those in more than a very surface level. Chemistry provides the intuitive models that help make physics not just calculable, but meaningful. And without chemistry, it's very challenging to have any type of mastery, probably impossible, of physics. I really believe that chemistry sits at the base of the foundational, fundamental knowledge of all science. Physics often starts with abstract universal laws, and biology deals with complex living systems. Chemistry sits beneath them, underpinning them, anchoring scientific thinking in the structure and interaction of matter, the foundation of understanding both physical principles and life processes. If you think about it, chemistry first is really rooted in recognizing that critical thinking is best done when there is a deep understanding of the foundational knowledge. With chemistry first, biology becomes more than just vocabulary. It becomes a system of molecular logic. Physics becomes more than equations. It becomes an exploration of matter and energy grounded in real-world experience and understandings. Students gain cohesive understanding of science in an interconnected whole. In that way, and with that as a focal point, chemistry isn't just one branch of science, it's the key to understanding how science works. Because all of science, every single bit of it, honestly does start with the atom and how the atomic particles, protons, neutrons, and electrons, with a reverse order as far as their importance from top to bottom. Electrons most important, then protons, then neutrons. How that drives every single thing in science. All right, I hope I've made my case for chemistry first. I'd love to hear your comments. If you have any questions about anything that's related in this, or even if you disagree with me, I'd love to hear your logic about why you think biology or physics should be first, or maybe you think it should be earth science or astronomy. Two subjects must tell you I think of as physical science, and you definitely want some chemistry to understand both of those. All right, much love, everyone. I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to This Is Homeschooling. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, click the notification bell, and I love to hear from you, so leave some comments.